Would you believe me if I told you that the world's first banks didn't have vaults, ATMs, or even bankers? In fact, they had priests. And no, this isn't a Hollywood script, it's history. But here's the real twist. What if I told you your local church could have once acted like Wells Fargo? Sounds wild, right? Well, buckle up. Because today, we're digging deep into how ancient temples became the first banks in the world. And trust me, by the end, you'll never look at a donation box the same way again. Let me take you back, way back. Around 3,000 years ago, in a bustling city-state of ancient Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, there stood a giant ziggurat, a temple that looked like a pyramid, and a wedding cake had a baby. Inside it, gold, silver, grains, contracts. Now you might ask, wait, what's grain doing next to gold? Great question. Back then, money wasn't just coins, grain was currency, salt was salary, and cows? Well, let's just say you didn't want to lose one in a poker game. Anyway, the temple wasn't just a holy place, it was the safest place in town. Why? Because no thief in their right mind would rob a place protected by both armed guards and the wrath of the gods. I mean, even the toughest guy would think twice before messing with a thunderbolt-throwing deity. So what did people do? They started storing their valuables inside temples. Gold, silver, scrolls, even promissory notes. And voila, the first form of banking was born. But here's where things get interesting. Legend has it, in the city of Uruk, there was a wealthy merchant named Sumerius. He had more camels than Facebook friends and was the Jeff Bezos of barley. But Sumerius had a problem. He wanted to expand his caravan routes, and he needed a loan. So where did he go? Not to Chase Bank, not to Lending Tree. He went to the temple. He met with a priest, let's call him Father Financius. Now, Father Financius didn't just hand over a sack of coins. He drafted a clay tablet contract, sealed it with the temple's stamp, and gave Sumerius a grain loan, with interest. Yes, interest. Even 3,000 years ago, they were charging APRs. But here's the kicker. If Sumerius defaulted, he wouldn't just face debt collectors. He'd face divine punishment. Ever tried arguing with a god over late fees? Good luck with that. So loans from temples were sacred, literally. The temples made money from interest and reinvested it into more infrastructure, building roads, feeding the poor, sponsoring art. Sound familiar? That's right, temples were the first community banks. But let's switch scenes. Now let's head west, ancient Egypt. You know, pyramids, pharaohs, and more gold than a rapper's Instagram feed. Temples like those at Karnak and Luxor didn't just worship gods, they stored wealth. Massive amounts. And the priests? Oh, they were loaded. These guys were like the Wall Street of Thebes. Pharaohs trusted temples more than their own treasuries. Why? Because temples were eternal. Pharaohs came and went, but gods stayed. People stored grain in temple granaries. These records were so detailed, they could tell you how much wheat farmer Amenhotep harvested in 1278 BC. Imagine if Chase could track your pizza orders from 3,000 years ago. But here's where it gets wild. Some temples actually issued receipts that could be traded, almost like early paper money. You heard that right. Ancient temple receipts were used as currency. Imagine paying for a horse with a piece of papyrus that says, "Temple of Ra owes bearer 2 sacks of grain." Congratulations, you just used temple-backed currency. Fast forward to ancient Greece and Rome, things got a bit more commercial. Greek temples, like the one at Delphi, were swimming in donations. Tourists, pilgrims, even kings, they'd all leave gifts. And the priests? They started investing that money, lending to merchants, funding public projects. In Rome, temples even had bank-like clerks, managing ledgers and withdrawals. But here's where the plot thickens. When wars broke out, especially with the Roman Empire expanding, temples were often raided. Suddenly, temples weren't safe havens anymore. Enter the private bankers. With temples losing trust, wealthy families and early banks took over. temples went back to being just temples. But their legacy? Oh, it lived on. Because without them, we wouldn't have checking systems, ledgers, vaults, or trust-based finance. Still think it's ancient history? Let me ask you, have you ever wondered why banks look like temples? Tall columns, marble floors, echoing halls. Yep, even in the US, our early banks were designed to look like temples. Why? Because it screams stability, trust, and eternity. Even the dollar bill says, "In God we trust." Coincidence? Or the spirit of temple banking still alive? And hey, next time you walk into a bank and smell that weird combination of air freshener and formality, just remember, you're walking into a modern-day temple. Except now, the gods wear suits and ask for your credit score. So the next time someone says money is evil, just smile and say, well, technically it started in a temple. Now tell me in the comments, would you trust a priest to handle your mortgage? Or would you prefer a guy named Bob from Bank of America? And if you love this blend of ancient secrets and financial wisdom, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Because this isn't just a history lesson. It's a reminder that the past is the best teacher for our future. See you in the next one, fellow time travelers.